Hello, this is David with Stupid Things People Do and what we can learn from them. Last time we talked about the news cycle, the insurance crisis, and what factors are involved in the costs of insurance. Basically, insurance is like going to a theme park. The insurance land pass gets you in the door, and the deductible ensures that lunch will be affordable. For more details, watch part 1 of this series. Moving right along, what happens if you go to insurance land and you want to buy some popcorn, but the price of popcorn skyrockets because somebody set all the popcorn on fire? Well, unfortunately, that's really bad prices. In one sense, you're going to be fine. The advent of sudden outbursts of popcorn fire is exactly why you bought an insurance land pass. Or to use a more real-life example, unexpected hailstorms destroy all the roofs in your neighborhood. Your insurance is going to cover the costs, and you just need to pay the deductible you agreed on in your plan. But that doesn't mean there aren't knock-on effects. So to explain, when we're discussing the cost of insurance, we're not just discussing the cost to me, the insured. We're talking about the entire market burden, aka how much does it cost for me to obtain the service and how much does it cost to provide the service. This distinction is why we evaluate the consumer price index and the producer price index as separate things when we evaluate inflation. So, imagine you work at insurance land. You're provided with the aforementioned not yet on fire popcorn. You've got 365 guests. For easy math, pretend that you're getting paid $1 per day to provide popcorn to said guests for a year. Now, you've not been informed of a very important factor. The main attendants of insurance land this year are members of the Society for Angry Landlords Incorporated. And they've decided to, every single one of them, show up on the exact same day. This means that instead of waiting for popcorn kernels to go on sale at the affordable rate of 75 cents, you now have to buy them all at once for $2 using a budget that does not exist yet. And now, to make matters worse, the warehouse is on fire, destroying whatever popcorn you had to begin with. So now you've got angry landlords demanding popcorn that you do not have with no money to buy and that you can't get without putting in for drop shipments from China. There comes a point where the popcorn is just maybe no longer worth the effort. While this is a ridiculous scenario, it's actually not that different from what happened in some of the things that we've been talking about in the news cycle. For example, what happens if a hailstorm wipes out multiple houses at once and that causes a shortage on supplies to replace those houses? With popcorn, you just raise the price of the popcorn until it's affordable again. For insurance, you raise the premium because you can't change the deductible. Or in rare situations, such as what's happened in California, you may discontinue coverages. Now, obviously, there are some external factors such as flame and riots that can affect the price of almost anything, including insurance, and so can storms and wars and influxes of angry grasshoppers. But internal factors also affect insurance, especially when it comes to liability insurance, where a person's actions affect an insurer's risk assessment. So, for example, keeping angry lemurs, blowtorches, and popcorn all together in the same place would be a decision which definitely affects the risk profile for liability surrounding popcorn. But here's a trick. Internal factors, such as individual negligence, can become external factors very quickly. So, for example, what happens if there's a rush of lawsuits? How many allegations of misconduct can organizations face, and how much can their insurance provider cover before the market starts to harden? To explain market hardening, if I visit insurance land during the renting of the landlords and I want to buy popcorn, just because I'm not rampaging around a popcorn fire does not mean that the cost of my popcorn isn't going to be affected by that crazed situation. The running of the landlords and the lemur-induced fires are going to affect everyone in that community. Similarly, if I live in a neighborhood where all of the roofs were wiped out by hail and mine wasn't, my premiums can still go up because the risk in that neighborhood increased. Applied to liability, a rash of lawsuits can affect the insurance premium of even organizations who were not involved in the litigation. That's not to say that misconduct from one organization will necessarily affect the premiums of a different organization any more than hail damage from one house will necessarily affect the premiums of a house made with different building materials. But people and organizations are not sole ships sailing the seas as master and commander of their world. We are in a flotilla. Issues on one ship can and do affect everyone else in that flotilla. This is true for boats, popcorn prices, and insurance premiums. Sometimes, in order to prevent one person's premium from increasing, insurance providers have to cut other people loose. Think of it as kicking risky boats out of the flotilla. And this is something we've seen happen already with homeowners insurance being discontinued in high-risk areas. The problem is, once those boats are kicked out of those flotillas, other flotillas, aka other insurance providers, are going to be very hesitant to let them in for the exact same reasons those boats got ostracized to begin with. So it can be very costly for these exiles to find a flotilla if they can get covered at all. So what can they do about it? How can organizations protect themselves from spiking premiums? Well, that's going to be in the third video.